Hello, welcome to the Joe Cortez Show here in Las Vegas, the entertainment and boxing capital of the world. And there's so many things that have happened in Vegas throughout the years. I have a special guest on the show today. He'll come on shortly. But I want to tell you a little bit about what the show is going to be all about. It happens to be about back in October 1st, 2017. We had a horrific massacre here in Las Vegas, Nevada, a shooting at the Route 91, the Harvest Music Festival, and it was a shooting there. A man got up in the 32nd story of the Mandalay Bay and shot across the boulevard up to where the concert was being held. And the gentleman I have on the show today, Anthony Luca, him and I became friends. Matter of fact, I interviewed him the day right after the shooting at the Las Vegas Strip, and we became friends. And I had invited him to my house back then, and he spent the whole day with me and my family. And I wanted to share with you guys things that have happened and still happening around the country today, and even around the world, but especially in the United States. There's so many massacres that are going on. These shootings are going on. Last week you had about 3 of them in California. You've had the Sandy Hook massacre up in Connecticut a number of years back, and my friend Carlos Soto lost his daughter, who was a school teacher back in those days. She was trying to protect the children. She ended up getting murdered by this crazy lunatic out there. And we have this other story that we're going to talk about today. It's got to do with what happened here in Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world. People really got frightened, and people are just afraid of what happened. And Anthony Luca is going to be talking to you about his experience. That day we have a little video clip of him talking about his experience, and it'll be maybe like a 10-minute clip. I'm going to put it on because I find it to be so informative about what happened in Anthony Luca's life. And he has 2 beautiful children with his wife, and now they have a set of twins. He moved on with his life. But these are topics we're going to talk about later on the show, about moving on in life, and I'll linger on to what happened 5.5 years ago. So we'll go with a clip of Anthony Luca here in Las Vegas. Roll it, Rick.
One 692, we got shots fired. That was 1 coming from She shot you? We're going to get paramedics to come out. Stay calm, please. We're going to get you in this way.
I'm ready. Sunday morning, October 1st, 2017. The thought that I would lose my life or that would be the last day that I would have on earth never crossed my mind. What started as an awesome day of laughter and excitement turned to tragedy, evil, and the most humbling experience I've ever been through in my entire life. My friends and I met at Mandalay Bay. When we got into the festival, everything was running as a festival would. We were eating, drinking, laughing, catching up with one another. Spirits were high. The energy level of everyone was one of those nights where you could just feel that it was going to be epic. And as the concert carried on, I'll never forget where I was the moment that those shots started and the gunfire began in Las Vegas, Nevada that night.
There are people running now.
You could feel the energy shift in the entire crowd. When I heard the second round of gunfire echoed and accompanied by screams and people beginning to run in every which direction, I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, this is happening. We immediately hit the ground on the dirt and grass area where we were standing, and we all huddled over each other. I remember closing my eyes to pray and to make my peace with God. There was a part of me that was afraid, there was a part of me that was in shock, and there was a part of me that knew exactly what was about to go down. I still have a hard time explaining exactly what I felt in this moment when I was laying on the ground and had closed my eyes. I've never felt so alone before in my life, but so at peace. There was such a drawing from my heart that I've described it as a black hole experience. And if you have looked up a black hole experience and what that is in space and how you can be drawn from this realm to the next, that's the best way to describe what I was feeling. And I don't know if I was about to get shot or if I was about to lose my life, but the awareness and clarity that God gave me in that moment was so peaceful and so sound. It was like nothing I had ever experienced. And when I had opened my eyes and heard all the screams and the gunfire going on again, I remember hearing one of my girlfriends screaming my name over and over. And when I found her, this is a sight that I'll never forget, is just her hand waving to come in the direction that she was at. And she just kept screaming my name until I got up and ran straight towards her. When I got into the portable suites that she was in with some of our other friends and other strangers, I remember the look on everyone's face. You could see the horror and fear in everybody's eyes of not knowing what to do. I remember looking at my girlfriend that had called me into this area that everyone was in, and I told her, I said, we got to keep moving. And I'll never forget the way that she looked when she looked back at me and said no. And my response immediately was, we have to. We were in what felt like the middle of thousands of cattle or horses running in every which direction. It was full anarchy. I had never been in anything like it before in my life. There were people that were helping people over fences, and there were also people that were pulling people off of fences so that they could go first. I say that not to put anyone down, but to describe the realness of the scenario and situation that my friends and I had found ourselves in. I remember looking at McCarran Airport and knowing that if we could at least get to that fence and touch the fence of that airport, that there would be military or some sort of security personnel all over us within seconds. And that was the direction that we decided to go. I looked at her and I said, when we start moving again, I want you to call who you need to call and say what you need to say. I remember that look on her face when she looked at me and she said, no, I'm not gonna do that. And I said, you have to, and I'm gonna do the same thing. And I don't know if we're gonna make it out of here alive or not, but we're going to do everything that we can to get through this. I remember when we got up to start moving again, and I had my phone in my hand and she had hers, and naturally she called her family and I called mine. I still to this day think of how hard that had to be for my mom, who I called and could hear the gunfire in the background, and me saying, there's a shooter, there's a shooter, I'm in Las Vegas, there's a shooter. And one of the last things, if not the last thing I said to her was, I'll let you know if I make it out alive. When we got close to McCarran Airport, there were people that both my girlfriend and I were able to help over walls, over barriers. That was something that I'm humbled and honored that I was able to be a part of, because that was extremely beautiful to me, to be able to help other people and not just my friend and I or myself get out of there alive. The entire experience was very overwhelming. There's an adrenaline that comes over you like nothing I've ever felt, where when I went back to look at the route that we took later on, after everything had digested, I looked at these walls and things that we went over, and I thought to myself, how in the world did we get over that? And it was by the grace of God giving us the strength to get to where we got to, which we ended up in a private hangar at McCarran Airport. We had opened the door to the hangar, and there were already a couple hundred people in there that were hiding and that had escaped in what seemed to be the same route that we took. And I remember when we walked in there, all of their faces looked at us with such fear, as if we may be the gunmen, or not certain if they were, in safety or not yet. And I remember during this time, there was a gentleman that had gotten shot in the leg, and my girlfriend and I helped him, and she had taken her shirt off and tied it around his leg and told me to put pressure on where his wound was, and just to keep talking to him to keep him awake. And after some time had passed and the ambulance arrived to where we were, I remember loading him into the ambulance. I looked down at my hands, and as I'm digesting that they're covered in another man's blood, I looked and saw all the beauty of people not worried about where anyone came from, how much money you made, what color your skin was, where their cell phone was. Everyone was united through the effort of survival. It was humbling and settling to know that with all the chaos that goes on in our world, that there is still so much love in human beings. That night of survival completely changed me. It was a feeling that has completely changed my life, completely changed my heart as a man, and the way that I live my life. And my message to any eyes or ears that watch this and see this is to live purposely like you're dying, because you are, and we all are, and to love with your whole heart, because you don't know when the last time you're going to get to kiss your spouse is, or the last time you see your mother and father, or your son or daughter. And I was exposed to that night. I wasn't living recklessly up until the night of the shooting, but I definitely was not living purposely the way that I am now. And I challenge anyone that sees this to not allow a near-death experience or death knocking at your door to wake you up and to realize how fragile and precious life is.
Well, you saw that video there of Anthony Luca explaining his experiences that he had that day, that night, that evening here in Las Vegas with that massacre shooting at the across from the Mandalay Bay Hotel. At the Mandalay Bay Hotel, that was where Stephen Paddock, who was the shooter, he was a 64-year-old man living from Mesquite, Nevada. And they found when they went to search his room afterwards, whatnot, up on the 32nd floor, he bashed out the window, and from there he was shooting across the way to the where the festival was being held, the concert was being held. They found like 25 rifles in the room, and it was a nasty thing. Anyway, I want to welcome on our show here live with you, Anthony Luca. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hi, Joe. Thanks for having me.
You're my hero. You know that.
Oh.
You're the hero of a lot of individuals out there, and it's an honor having you on the show today.
Thank you.
Because we want to share a little bit of the experience. It's bad experience, but we want to share to individuals because now you're doing your ministry and you're studying for that and you're putting the word out there what's going on. But you're here because you want to help other people and share your experiences that you have. You know, you're also writing a book called The Beauty After the Evil. Is that correct?
That's right.
And that book will be coming on in the very near future.
Yes, sir.
We're working on that. So tell us a little bit about your experiences that evening here in Las Vegas with the massacre.
Yeah, Joe, thank you again for having me. That night was a pivotal point in my life. It was a great time with friends up until that split second where all of our lives changed. And to go through such a catastrophic event like that, I believe that all of us have a choice to make during pivotal moments like that in life. Is you either allow that to change you for the better, or you can allow yourself to stay stuck or frozen in a traumatic spot. And after that night, I allowed the event to open me up internally to take a look at my life, to ask myself some serious questions of who did I want to be as a man? What did I want to accomplish in my life? And if I would have died that night, was I satisfied with the things that I had done? And from that point on, I can tell you that every day, every year, the depths that God has taken me through in my own heart of growth and healing as a man and stepping out and knowing that at the end of the day, the best thing that we all can do for others is to help others. Right. So when you mentioned being a hero, we all have opportunities to be a hero to other people. Right. And that evening, I'm thankful that I went through that, as crazy as that may sound to other people, because at 30 years old, I was 30 at the time, it just matured me and grounded me and opened me up. And I'm thankful and appreciative that God spared my life that night, as well as everybody that I was with.
Yeah, I remember the following day after the shooting, I went to the Las Vegas Strip and I interviewed you on my favorite firm show. You were one of the first that I interviewed that afternoon.
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing talking to you. I mean, you were still like in shock
right.
of what you had experienced the night before.
Right.
But now here we are 5.5 years later. How were you mentally after that whole bad experience?
Watching the clip that you just rolled, I mentioned to you, you're going to make me cry before we talk. Seeing those photos is eerie still. When I look at Mandalay Bay at times, it's not a haunting thought, but it is something that I'll never forget. It was a game changer in my life. But, you know, again, you have to process it in a way to know that you were spared for a reason, and what are you going to do with that? So mentally, I'm great. You know, I've got God in my life, a family man, and moving forward. And there are things that will trigger memories, you know, but you focus on the good in anything. Like you say, you know, you got to keep moving forward in whatever life throws your way. And I've tried very hard to do that.
Yeah, now that you have experienced that, now you got married, you have two beautiful kids, you have twins, right?
Yeah, twin boys.
Twin boys, they're a year and a half old now?
No, they'll be a year in June.
Oh, a year in June. Mm-hmm. Wow.
2 years in June,
2 years,
excuse me,
okay,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a year and a half old now, and they'll be 2 years in June. So that's great. That kind of basically changed your life around to give you a lot of time to think more about other things with your children and forget about the past.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of difficult. It's hard to forget the past, like anything in life, but you got to really let it go. Because your life, you have to move on with your life. Mm-hmm. Sometimes there's individuals out there that things happen to them, and they get stuck with it. They don't know how to move. They can just stay stranded. You're like glued to that. You gotta let it go. Something like somebody passes in your life, and you grieve. Yeah, it's normal for you to grieve, but there could be a time you gotta let it go and keep on going with your life, because you can't keep grieving for the rest of your life.
Right. Right. It took the first year was shock.
Yeah.
It flew by, and by year 2, all my friends and I started, you know, getting back in the groove of things. But those first 2 years went by really quickly, and I can't believe that it's already at the 5-year mark this last October.
Right.
But you have to be able to. It's not that you have to rush grief. Everybody grieves differently, but there is a point in time where if you're still struggling or frozen in a spot, you might need to get some help for yourself, because it does come a moment where you do have to be at peace with things and be able to move forward.
Sometimes they need help. Where can they go for help when they have issues like that?
I always say you go to God first. If you believe in God, prayer has been a game changer in my life. Prayer is power. It's extremely powerful. Any mental health. I mean, if you started a church can steer you in the right direction. What is unfortunate in today's world is a lot of doctors are quick to prescribe medicine when you may not need medicine. And that's a very dangerous thing that you have to be careful on, because a lot of us just need to talk about stuff and get it out and be able to sit with someone like you, a friend, family, and let someone know that's close to you that you love that, hey, this is how I'm feeling, and I'm struggling in processing this. And if you don't have people that are close to you or that you can trust, there's hotlines, there's websites. Mental health has become a huge thing over the last 5 years.
Yeah, now you have you're studying ministry now.
Yes,
and
sir.
you have a program called Rich Forever Young.
Yes, my website currently is anthonyluca.com. The ministry is Rich Forever Young, which you can find some information on it on my site. But we're getting started in Las Vegas. I think we have the highest percentage of homeless youth in the country. And I felt like that was a great area to start in, of just giving back to the community as well as teaching the Word of God. I have a passion to unpack the Word for people that have a hard time digesting.
Yeah. Now, why do you think that Nevada is ranked number one with the homeless youth? Why is that?
Vegas has a lot of distraction, and I know that across the United States and across the world there's temptation everywhere, but Las Vegas shoves a lot of things in young people's faces way too soon.
Like entertainment, singers, artists, they think they can make it here.
Yeah.
Because the entertainment capital of the world.
Yeah.
They think, I can go there, I can make it there, right?
Yeah, a lot of roads for a man have dead ends.
Yeah.
And if you don't have wise counsel, if you don't have good parenting in your life, you are very easily led in the wrong direction, thinking that your answer is down that road, and it's not.
Right. You need a little leadership.
That's right.
Somebody to guide you in the right direction.
Right.
Sometimes we don't have somebody. These young folks, they either come from single parent homes or they come from a single child. And they come in, they say, well, I'm lost. I got to go. I can't keep on depending on my parents. I want to take off and do my own thing.
Yeah.
I want to go to Las Vegas. And they find themselves with a crowd of individuals here in Las Vegas. And a lot of them are drinking, doing drugs and whatnot. And they're going the wrong way right off the bat. Next thing you know, they don't have a job. They have no place to live. They're homeless in the streets, sleeping on the sidewalks. And you see that in all major cities around the country, but you find a lot of it here in Las Vegas.
Right. And to let them know that if you do all of us deserve a second chance, and every day is a new day, and at any moment you can change and pivot for yourself and go in the right direction. And a father's role is important. And for a lot of homeless youth, I'm glad that you said the single family homes, because the ratio of young people that don't have a father in their life, the word says, I will be a father to the fatherless. And just stepping in to let young people know that, hey, this doesn't have to be the end for you. This doesn't have to be what your story is. And just speaking life into people. I've been shocked at how much of a kind word, how far that goes with a lot of people, because they don't have that in their life. They have no one speaking life and love into them.
Yeah, I had that experience of, you viewers out there, you guys know a little bit of my background as a fighter, that I was in boxing back in the days when I was 15 years old. I started boxing, but I come from a single parent home too. My mother was the only one raising us 4 boys by herself, and it wasn't easy. But without a father, it could be very difficult. But I had the honor of having a fighter by the name of Gaspar El Indio Ortega, who came into my life. He moved next door to us. He's the one that got me started in boxing. He kind of guided me, kept us from doing the wrong things, got me involved with sports. But so a lot of individuals out there, young folks out there, they feel lost. They don't have nobody to turn to, But there are boys' clubs, a different kind of get involved with some kind of sports to keep yourself busy, whatnot. But, church is a good way to start,
Right.
a good place. I remember I used to go to St. Francis de Sales. St. Francis de Sales church in Manhattan on 96th Street was the church I used to go to on Sundays, and I did my communion and confirmation there. And I remember that I used to go there also, for activities, after-school activities. They have basketball. They had, one time they even had a boxing event there one time at the church. So I mean, there's always a lot of things out there for you to reach out to. But a lot of young folks, they don't look to it to go to a location. They don't know about the Boys Club. They don't know about there's a lot of things out there. Even the military, whether the Army, Air Force, Marines, Navy. I went into the Army when I was 18 years old myself. But I kept myself thinking positive about doing good things in life.
Mm-hmm. I think today's world, even with technology and social media, there's so much pressure on the youth, and it's important that we all step in and help where we can, because there's so much temptation floating out there of thinking that I've got to be this or I have to be that. And the best thing that we can do for the youth is put quality character principles in them that's going to build their character over time, especially with young men, to let them know that you don't have to run around numb thinking that being a tough guy makes you a man. And that's where you get really down to the basic principles of what is life about, and it's okay to feel certain things. You don't have to stuff stuff down.
Right.
And that's really what the basis of Rich Forever Young is on, is freeing people from internal pain. Because no matter how bad you try to bury it or run from it, I always say that unresolved pain will resurface in everything that you do.
Right. Well, I believe that we have to have somebody, have a buddy, somebody, a good friend that you can trust, somebody that you can really, and not just to have him as a friend because you want to go party all the time.
Right.
Somebody you can talk to about. Sometimes you have personal issues.
Right.
You may want to discuss. You don't want to discuss them with everybody. You don't want everybody to know your problems, but you want to have somebody that you can trust and say, I need a little help. I need a little guidance. Things are not going right here. And sometimes what's happening to some of these young folks, that's why the suicide rate is so high these days.
Right.
A lot got to do with them being on drugs too, But there's one way that I say is that getting the buddy system, get somebody you can call on a regular basis, keep yourself, sharp and focused, and keep yourself wanting to do something, whether it's, to help out in the community, get involved with different programs as an adult. But the young folks needing the help, they can go to your website. They can check you out with the richforeveryoung.com. And you can check your AnthonyLuca.com.
Yes, sir,
as well.
AnthonyLuca.com. I'm on Instagram as Rich Forever Young, and the website is AnthonyLuca.com.
Good. That's good for you fans out there to know about what Anthony is doing, because Anthony's about 36 years old now. 35. Okay. He'll be 36 years old soon.
Yeah.
And I met him when he was 30 years old, and he was going through some difficult times without a bad experience. And anybody that would experience that had to be. It must be like a nightmare. You must have been having nightmares a whole year or so after that incident. Huh?
No, I wasn't having nightmares. You are rattled. You're in shock. You're tired. You're processing a lot. You want to be around friends. That was a great thing that my friends and I we just wanted to be together. Right. Being together was a great healing part of that entire process. But no nightmares, nothing like that. And just allowing ourselves to be like, wow, what did we just go through? And, not denying the reality of it.
Because I know they had like over 400 individuals from that massacre that end up suing the MGM Resorts, corporation. They got sued for about $800 million, and there's no money in the world that can alleviate, can relieve you of that pain. There's no money in the world that can relieve the pain that those people went through.
Right. Forgiveness is huge. It's nobody's fault, and you got to be quick to forgive throughout your entire life.
Right. I just hope that these hotels, but they change the security system, the way they look at things different. People check into hotels. I mean, this guy checked in there with 25 weapons, and they were checking them in. They got him on video camera, checking these bags in, and they were like golf bags. And there they had the rifles in there, and people didn't even know that the guy was bringing all these weapons into the suite on the 32nd floor. The guy, he was there a couple of days. He was gambling at the table like nothing, like a regular guy. Nobody even thought about it.
Right.
And the guy he had some mental issues, and we still to this day don't know why he was doing that, but he was upset with something in the world.
Yeah, I always say be careful going down why Boulevard because it's a dead end.
That's it.
If you ask yourself why too much, why this, why that, you get stuck in victim mode, and that's a dangerous spot to be. Be thankful, try to see the good in every situation. For me, this is God spared my life that night, and what am I going to do in thanks to that of moving forward in my life with the time left that I have.
Good, good. Well, our fans out there, our viewers, thank you very much for watching our show today with my dear friend here, Anthony Luca, who shared his experiences with you of what went on in his life, and he continues to go forward with his twins that he has now and his beautiful wife. And now we go forward, right, brother?
Thank you, Joe. Yes,
Thank you
sir.
for being on the show, buddy. Take care.
You got
God
it.
bless.
Thank you.
Catch you guys next week.